A concerned citizen contacted me, and they used their resources to get information on the suspicious death of Dr. Robert Gilbert. And I'm going to share that information with you now on the screen. And this is a summary timeline, and it also lists red flags. We're going to go over the timeline of events first. And the report says prior to 2022-2023, Dr. Robert Gilbert runs the Vesica Institute and collaborates with Dr. Ibrahim Karim on BioGeometry. Dr. Robert Gilbert lives in Hendersonville, North Carolina during this time, and teaches spiritual science and sacred geometry, as well as vibrational energy. April 22nd, 2022, Dr. Gilbert purchases a $2 million luxury home in Summerlin, Las Vegas, Nevada. In 2023, Jennifer Barnes becomes director of the Vesica Institute. I know that we were a little bit unclear about when she became the director and whether it was before or after the passing, but the report here indicates she became director in 2023. Also in 2023, Gilbert partners with Skyfire Retreats to plan psychedelic events using psilocybin and 5-MeO-DMT. And so I'm not real familiar with this stuff. If anyone is, please leave a comment. I appreciate it. I've heard of. I think I might know what they're talking about here when they talk about DMT, but because I'm not certain, I'm not going to touch that. But I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, they might be talking about DMT, which Joe Rogan did a show talking about that. I saw one time, but that's just something that I'm not really familiar with. In June 2024, on June 28th, Dr. Gilbert transfers his home into the Robert Joseph Gilbert Trust. So this is last year, last summer. And then July 1st, 2024, the following month, well, actually just a few days later, the deed officially recorded transferring ownership to his trust. No successor trustee is publicly named. In late 2024, Dr. Gilbert announces an upcoming retreat in Mexico. Later, he states he will not attend in person. Event proceeds anyway under Barnes. And then, as everybody knows, on February 10th, just last month, this year, Jennifer Barnes alleges that Dr. Gilbert died under vague circumstances. She submits a post on Instagram on February 13th that is very vague, and it doesn't list the cause of death. Again, no cause of death, obituary, or memorial. And Dr. Gilbert is cremated quietly. And I want to go back to my previous update, and I want to reread something because I made an error. So I'm going to reread it because this is kind of important. I think it's interesting. It says here, the crematorium confirmed that there was no funeral, no memorial service, and no cause of death provided, and then this is the part where I misread it. The blank obituary was specifically requested by the person who arranged the cremation. I find this very interesting as well as troubling. Now, the cremation doesn't trouble me on the one hand, but it does on the other hand. I'll talk just briefly about cremation related to the Rosicrucian teachings. And yes, we get cremated. That's what we do. Rosicrucians are cremated. That's part of being a Rosicrucian. And but the bad thing is that I hate to say this, but if you murder a Rosicrucian, it's more difficult if they're cremated, for example, to later get evidence or something like that. So my point that I want to make is that even though the cremation itself was normal and it's a part of being a Rosicrucian, all the rest of the circumstances are highly suspicious and abnormal. And keeping the cause of death secret, that is not part of Rosicrucian. That is not a Rosicrucian thing. In fact, that's not even a thing. We don't do that in the United States. We don't keep cause of death a secret. The only time cause of death is kept a secret is to hide wrongdoing or foul play. So there's no reason to keep the cause of death a secret. Here we have post-death. At the bottom of the page, I'll continue. Crematorium confirms no death certificate or cause of death provided. Vesica Institute continues operating under Barnes using Gilbert's name. That's troubling. What we'll do now is we'll pull up. Oops, I made a mistake, I think. Sorry about that. Here's top 10 red flags. Number 1, no cause of death disclosed. No autopsy, no official record, no transparency concerning the circumstances. And, I'm going to stop again and I'm going to speak to this because Dr. Gilbert was no idiot. First of all, he was extremely healthy. He was a healer. He didn't get sick and die, I promise you that. Somebody could have poisoned him and killed him, but he didn't just get sick and die. He was a healer. He was extremely healthy. And I'll continue with that in a moment. We'll go to number 2 here. Second top red flag, immediate cremation with no memorial, no public service, toxology, is impossible because of the cremation, and the obituary is left intentionally blank. So somebody asked for an obituary to be created for him to show that he died, but they actually specifically requested that it be left blank. Now, I've gone to legacy.com and I've seen the obituary and it's blank. It says that it's being updated, but it's never going to be updated. It was specifically requested that it be kept blank. And that's troubling. As far as the Rosicrucian stuff, it doesn't make any sense the way she's handling this. And it seems like somebody took advantage of the fact that they knew that they took advantage of knowing that he was going to be cremated. That's what I believe. They took advantage of that information. Number 3, top red flag. Jennifer Barnes benefits directly from the passing of Dr. Gilbert. Jennifer Barnes took control of Vesica, possibly lives in Gilbert's home. Big time financial gains. And again, I talked about this in my previous update, where the Vesica Institute brings in good money. You know, they charge on average, between $300 to $400 per course. So I'm going to say $350 per course on average. And so everybody in the class pays that, and then they do course after course after course. They make a lot of money. So that's actually gets into a possible motive if there was foul play. Fourth top 10 red flag. There's more than 10. These are just the top 10. Property transferred to trust right before the death. Control passed to unnamed trustee. Timing is suspect. So this is right before the death. And Doctor, I want to get back to what I was saying a moment ago. Dr. Gilbert, he was no idiot. He was a healer. He was healthy. He dealt with healing energies and stuff, crystals, things like that. And he didn't give bad advice. He was very, very intelligent. That, in fact, what drew people to Dr. Gilbert was his extreme level of intelligence. He's extremely intelligent, right? And one of the dumbest things that I ever heard in my life is Jennifer Barnes saying that Dr. Gilbert supposedly told her that he didn't want anyone to know how he would pass away. Now that would, if he really said that, that would be the dumbest thing that he ever said. And he was not a dumb person. I don't think he said that. Because what's that would do, think about it logically for a moment. All it's going to do is create controversy. All it's going to do is make people wonder what's going on and dig in and find out what's going on by not saying the cause of death. It makes no sense. Now, in the Rosicrucian teachings, there's a spiritual transformation. I'm very advanced with the Rosicrucian teachings. I actually had it planned out to have Dr. Gilbert as a guest on my show. I was going to interview him. I'm trying not to get teary-eyed here, but this is really hitting home with me. And so there's a way that a person can transform when they develop to a certain point spiritually. And I hope I don't mix up my terms here. This is extremely advanced esoteric knowledge, Rosicrucian teachings, but I believe it's called a pralaya, where a person has developed so much spiritually that they actually disappear. They disappear from this world, and they actually are, it's almost like, in a simple terms, it's kind of like going to heaven, you know? And a person who goes through that experience is so developed spiritually that they're really no longer like a human. They've become more like an angel. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to get too far into that, talking about the pralaya. That's extremely advanced esoteric spiritual science. But what I want to say, my point to it is that we're not talking about that here. That's not what happened here. Because she said that he passed away, and she's not giving the cause of death. That's different than a pralaya. A pralaya is not passing away. A pralaya, the person disappears. They disappear, and it's a transformation. They go to a higher plane. I'm trying to explain this in simple terms because this is extremely advanced knowledge. But I just want to make it clear that is not what happened here, because she didn't say that he had a transformation or that he disappeared or anything like that. She said he passed away. He died. That is not a pralaya. So we're talking about either somebody actually dying or a death being faked. I just want to be clear about that. This is not a spiritual transformation. The fifth top 10 red flag: no trustee filings after death. No updates on who controls the trust. And the reason why is because it's likely being purposely concealed. And that's very troubling. All of this is very troubling. It's all very troubling. The cremation in and of itself isn't troubling because he was Rosicrucian, but the circumstances surrounding it and the fact that now more investigation can't be done through, for example, a autopsy, that is all very troubling if there was foul play. Sixth top 10 red flag. Continued use of his name posthumously. I know my pronunciation's pretty good. It's not perfect, but I hope I'm getting this all correct. The person who provided this information, thank you. All of Dr. Robert Gilbert's students and fans are going to appreciate it. And I will say the person who's providing this information is extremely intelligent. Marketing courses and retreats as if Gilbert is still active. So I'm going to say that again. Sixth top 10 red flag is the continued use of his name. And then marketing courses and retreats as if he's still active. Number 7, the vague tribute from Dr. Ibrahim Karim. And the report is that it was less than 2 minutes and that there's no mention of cause of death or Barnes. And so that's all true except for it was a little longer than 2 minutes. The tribute was around 6 or 7 minutes. Big shout out to Dr. Karim and his family. I love them very much. I am still a student of Dr. Karim. He's my teacher. I love biogeometry, and I will never, ever stop studying under Dr. Karim. So Dr. Karim's video was around 6 or 7 minutes long. He doesn't list Barnes or the cause of death. He just talks about how Dr. Gilbert became a student of his, and it was kind of neat because when Dr. Gilbert became a student of Dr. Karim's, Dr. Gilbert actually brought a bunch of his own students to Dr. Karim's class, and he talks about that in the video. On my channel, I have a little 2-minute excerpt, but I do indicate that you can see the entire video on the BioGeometry YouTube channel, which is Dr. Karim's YouTube channel. So you can, if you want to watch his memorial in full, you'd have to visit his channel. I didn't want to put the whole thing on my channel because it's not my content, so I just put a little quick 2-minute clip. But and I didn't monetize it, of course. The 8th red flag: silence from Vesica. Inquiries about Gilbert's death go unanswered, and I can speak to this personally. And I pressured Vesica. I'm going to tell you, I pressured them. I confronted them numerously. And the last time I confronted them, I gave them a final warning that if they don't release the cause of death, that I was going to contact a private investigator as well as law enforcement. And then I meditated and I started calming down, and I started remembering the Rosicrucian teachings. Rudolf Steiner says we're not supposed to have antipathy, right? And I'm getting upset now. I'm starting to get some extreme antipathy here. So I'm go meditate, calming myself down. What do I know? I get contacted by somebody who has information. So this is a great blessing. But what the Vesica Institute did was this past week, after I gave them kind of my final request, they released a email to all the students and members of Vesica. And I got an email from Jennifer Barnes, and the email talked about how she met Dr. Gilbert and how she ended up, in the situation she's in. But it doesn't list Dr. Gilbert's cause of death, and I just didn't find the email genuine. And I just am not buying into Jennifer Barnes personally. I find her very suspect. And I think that this needs to be further investigated. That's just my personal opinion. The ninth red flag, suspicious Mexico retreat change. Gilbert abruptly withdrew without explanation before his death. And I talked about that in my previous update. And yeah, it's just curious. And then the 10th red flag is the financial takeover. Barnes quietly assumes control of his estate, institute, and reputation. This is very troubling. This is a man who worked for a very long time to learn what he learned and get what he got and accomplish what he accomplished. And here's somebody comes along, they say they met him 15 years ago. Well, that's not that long ago. It's a little bit of time, but it's not that long ago. And I just don't buy into it. I don't buy into it. Dr. Gilbert, he can't be replaced. He can't be nobody is going to continue doing what he was doing. I can toot my own horn and say that I'm one of his most advanced students, and even I am not close. But I learn every day. And the thing with me is I study directly from Rudolf Steiner. So I'm going to just suggest to all of you who were students of Dr. Gilbert, Dr. Gilbert dabbled in a lot of different things, but his foundation was Rudolf Steiner and the Rosicrucian teachings. That was his foundation, and that's what he promotes. That's what he recommends. Now, the Rosicrucian teachings, Rosicrucian means Rose Christian. Technically, it means Rose Cross, but you don't call somebody a Rose Cross. You call somebody a Rose Christian, right? So Rosicrucian refers to a person. It doesn't refer to a piece of wood. So Rosicrucian means Rose Christian, and that's what they are. They're Rose Christians. And it's a Gnostic form of Christianity that where the idea is that you connect directly to the divine or God and the spiritual worlds and spiritual beings without a mediator, without a priest or a pastor or somebody else. Direct connection. And this is what's in the Gospels and what Jesus taught, So in the Gospels, Jesus says, pray in your closet, and he discourages public prayer, and he discourages a lot of stuff that they do in the churches if you read the Gospels, but that's another topic. And so the Rosicrucian teachings, you don't have to join any organization, you don't have to pay any fees. I'll talk about I'll give an example. There's a Rosicrucian organization in the United States called Rosicrucian Fellowship. They're very nice people, but I'll just say their founder, Max Heindel, created the Rosicrucian Fellowship by using plagiarism, material that he got directly from Rudolf Steiner, and that he didn't have permission doing what he did. And I wouldn't study with the Rosicrucian Fellowship. That's an organization that people join. And in the Rosicrucians, one of the main teachings is that you don't join an organization. One of the main teachings is that the spiritual development has nothing to do with the organization. It's all internal and private. It's done privately. So, and it's a Christian initiation. The Rosicrucian teachings, they promote what I'll describe as a Christian initiation, and I promote it highly for everybody because anybody can do it. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what sex you are, gender, age. It's for everybody. And the easiest way to get involved with it is to just start studying the work of Rudolf Steiner. And you can do that on YouTube for free. There's a YouTube channel. I feature it on my channel. It's called the Rudolf Steiner Press Audio YouTube channel. And then the person who reads the work of Rudolf Steiner, the famous voice, his name is Dale Brunsfeld. Dale Brunsfold also has a YouTube channel that I feature on my home page. And Dale Brunsfold is very, very nice. You can actually contact him, and he's a real nice person. And he also has material on his YouTube channel as well. You can also buy the books, the Rudolf Steiner books. Rudolf Steiner has a tremendous volume of literature, and it's really a fast track. Once you start studying Rudolf Steiner's material, you're on the fast track. And all this other stuff that Robert Gilbert dabbled in kind of gets off track a little, you know. But the fast track is the Rosicrucian stuff. That's the fast track. That's all you really need. You don't need anything else. You don't need to know anything else. You don't need to learn anything else or do anything else. The Rosicrucian teachings have it all. Furthermore, you'll learn everything. You'll learn who made the pyramids, how they built them. You'll learn the true history of man and the world around you, and it'll transform your life. I guarantee it. And Dr. Robert Gilbert saved my life. He saved my life, and my life turned around when he told me all about Rudolf Steiner. And so, I miss him greatly. And I know that all of our hearts are very heavy right now. And with that, I'll say goodbye to everybody, and just try to hold tight, hold it together, and we'll all get through this and figure out what happened, and we'll all continue with our spiritual development.